I'm feeling myself. I'm healing myself. You know, in life, we have to meet people where they are. Sometimes when we come from a space of judging others, we find ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation, and later on we find ourselves being judged, and it's not the most comfortable, feeling to be in. It's not the most comfortable position to be in. So if we can try to meet people where they are and to try to meet them with an understanding, it might help us in the long run. You know, we have people from the LGBT community, and in a lot of cases, people tend to judge a person because maybe they're wearing a color that you don't agree with, or they're acting a certain way. You know, coming from New York, I can appreciate a person being forward and honest. Now, there's a tasteful way in which we can all say, what it is that we need to say. And it is important that we are respectful and tasteful, so that we can express ourselves and another person can understand where it is that we might be coming from. So I also wanted to give a shout out to Elin Harris. May his spirit rest in peace. Elin Harris was such a great author. I'm talking, this guy would write a book and you would not even know you didn't know who the persons were until he was ready to present this being a male and a male, or a male and a female, because he had such a wonderful poetic way of expressing himself. You know, he used to sell his books to the beauty salons, and the beauty salons would sell his books while the people were sitting in that chair getting their hair done. You could get so engrossed in his storyline that you would forget where you were. And instead of having a long process of getting your hair done, you would actually finish getting your hair done, and you wouldn't even believe that they finished so quickly, because you got caught up in the book. Now, you know the book has to be pretty good for a person to get so engrossed in the story that they forget they're even in the beauty salon chair and the job is finished just like that. That's the gift that Elin Harris had. And I'm thankful that he was able to share those gifts with us before his passing. You know, he was from Detroit. The same part of Detroit they were having the water issue there. And, it's really, like I said, Flint, Michigan, I believe he's from. And he was from there, and I believe he moved on to California in his latter years before passing. But again, without getting so personal, because I know we tend to want to know so much about people, and we sometimes get a little too personal. And what I really liked, like I said, I like the fact that he was able to express himself so beautifully and allow people to really understand a community that you might not be comfortable with, or that you might not understand. I grew up in a family where there were people who did not feel comfortable being able to express that side of themselves. And you'd see it because, you'd see the way that they glowed, their eyes glowed up, or should I say their eyes brightened when a certain person entered the room. And you'd see how they interacted with those individuals, but could not be forward in being honest about what they preferred because they would be judged. So instead of moving out of your mom's house, straight away, sometimes they had to get married to do so. So you marry this person who you didn't necessarily love just to get out of your mother's home. I'm so happy that so many things have changed now, where people are able to express themselves. Now, I cannot relate to whatever it is that everyone is going through, because everyone is different, right? But I can understand and come from a place of empathy and understanding when it's possible. So again, Elin Harris to me introduced that opening so that I was able to, really get to know or understand the people around me a little bit better. Because, back then, the people were not even able to express themselves or tell what they preferred. Now, with everything coming out, Caitlin, everyone's been able to be more open in regards to saying who they are. And it's important that you know who a person is, even if they're just experimenting. Because I have had, friends who I know that just experimented and then they, went on back to, what it was that they liked. It's not even our business to know what a person does behind closed doors, to be quite honest. But I guess people tend to judge you when you're outside and you're holding hands with that mate, you know. Again, if we could just meet people where they are and to respect them that way, that would be great. My only thing, like I said, I had a issue with is the person was bold in confronting me one time and stating what they were and what they preferred. And, I had to bow out gracefully and say, I strictly am in a relationship with a male, and I'm very happy with that. You can have whatever preference you so choose to, but as long as you're respectful in presenting that, I feel like this is great. Because if you know what it is that you want, what it is that you like, you'll have a happier and more fulfilling lifestyle, right? I follow a person who has a channel, Evolving, I forgot her name, but she's in a relationship with a female. When I first started watching her, she was actually getting ready to get married to a male, and they had a daughter, and then she went on ahead and they divorced, and she seems to be as happy as she could possibly be with her new mate, moving out of the country and living her best life. Again, if we could just meet people where they are and just be respectful, because whatever makes another person happy makes them happy. And if that is truly your friend or a family member, you should be happy with whoever that person is. If they feel that they need to express themselves in a certain way, so long as, again, it's respectful and it's not hurting anyone's feelings, I don't see anything wrong with it. Years ago, I dated this guy in college, and I thought he might have been the one. And I brought him home to meet my father, and my father was like, wow, this is the best one yet. And I went to his house to meet his parents later on. When I met his family, his mother was just so sweet. And then I met the father. The father was very abrasive, was his words. And at first I didn't understand why he was so angry, because I said, who invites a person to their home and behaves like this? It was almost like a page out of Spike Lee's Jungle Fever movie, where they invited, not Denzel, oh my goodness, Wesley Snipes, excuse me. They invite Wesley Snipes to dinner with his girlfriend. And, the mother, she just really wanted her son to be happy. She was willing to prepare the meal and everything, but she didn't agree with it, and neither did the father. However, she was the one who, was basically the hostess throughout this experience. And the father decided to excuse himself. In my case, the father decided to tell exactly what was going on. He said, I don't even understand how you could feel so comfortable coming into our home when you breaking up a marriage. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Between that and then a picture falling out of his wallet, a picture of his son, and he said his son was his nephew. Those two things I could not honor. And that night, when he had to walk me to my car, and I told him that I would no longer be continuing a relationship with him. Well, it turned almost violent. I had to lock my door and try to pull off, and I was driving a stick shift at the time. So I'm trying to put my foot down on the clutch and get in gear and reverse at the same time. It was not a good thing. When he took his foot and kicked the glass on my driver's side window, I thought sure that glass was going to break. But God was watching over me the whole time. And I learned also, you don't break up with a person in their face, because this is what happened. I broke up with him thinking I was going to be honest and sincere, and look what happened. That was something that really, I've learned a lot in that relationship, although I did not have the street smarts that I thought I had. And I had to learn a harder lesson in 16, 17. It is important that these lessons that we have, that we grow through them. And again, I had no idea that he even had a violent side. But the story doesn't even end there. After that, I broke up with him, and he tried to call. I refused his calls or what have you. Years later, I ended up going to, because I think after that happened with us, his wife, who he was apparently married to at the time, went ahead and pressed charges with him and, called, social services or whatever they do, put him on child support. And when she put him on child support, he had to go to jail. So again, I had broken up with him. I knew nothing of what his future was or his present was until I was in the village eating. I had to go to Ray's Pizza because, Ray's Pizza was my favorite pizza at the time. I'm out of college, I'm just shopping and, I think I was teaching in the Bronx at the time. So I'm going ahead and, I'm shopping and everything, and I go to the store. They have a store. I think it's still there. I don't know what the name is. I don't want to mess the name up, but the name of the store actually sold an exfoliation kit, and it was the stuff that exfoliates your skin was made from walnut shell. I never forget it because it was one of those natural stores that you love to go in there and sample things and then you purchase things. They also had these candles, and you'd light the candle and it would double as body oil. So I noticed that a few people who were working as a masseuse in different salons were purchasing the same thing. So I went to the store thinking I was going to purchase the same thing, this oil to burn as a candle and then also oil my body. What else could you possibly ask for, when you take a nice bubble bath or what have you? So anyway, I'm at the store and I get what I need to get, and I'm walking out of the store and I see someone familiar in my peripheral vision. You know how you play things off, you don't totally turn around right away. But I looked up long enough to see who the person was. It was the guy who I was dating in college. And no, he wasn't married anymore, but he had chosen a different type of mate at this point. Now he was preferring a male, and he was with his boyfriend, and they were giggling at the side. And I guess one thing I have to say about this guy is he definitely had a good gift of gab, and he was very comical. So I guess he was telling his mate a story. And I didn't know how quite to react to this. I didn't know if I should go and say hello. I didn't know how his boyfriend might react, because his boyfriend seemed, a bit, I don't know. He seemed like he was one of those people who might be loud, and I did not know exactly how to handle that situation. So I went to the train station, as if I felt like if they wanted to speak to me, they would have said hello or what have you, because we both caught each other's eyes. And I think he probably equally was uncomfortable not knowing how to approach me about it. But again, if I had to do it again, I don't even know if I would have changed my mode. I may have said hello, and that might have broken some of the ice. But again, when we're trying to meet people where they are, sometimes we don't know exactly how to approach the situation, But if I saw him today, I guess I would be more comfortable if he were probably solo. Because again, sometimes you just never know. Or even if he were his boyfriend, maybe from now on, I think if I have to do it again, I'll probably, if I ever reach or am in that presence, I guess I would just say hello. And that would be the icebreaker, But again, we never know exactly what we're going to do. Sometimes you say, I'll do this and I'll do that. And then when the situation comes, it becomes an uncomfortable setting. So either way, I wish him and his friend the best. But on this platform, we're trying to grow. And in growing, regardless of what the person's background is, as long as the person is respectful, we should appreciate the fact that we can communicate with them, in a calm manner, okay? We want to continue to move forward in meeting people where they are, okay? So that's been my story. Again, shout out to Elon Harris. If you ever get to the bookstore, you might want to pick up one of his books in regards to being able to have a better understanding. I'm sure there's psychology books. There's certain books on the shelf that have, different meanings. But I'm just saying that he was an excellent artist. And, I was saddened to find out that he passed and I didn't know anything about it. So, again, it is a wonderful thing when we are able to understand our peers, people in our lives, and people that we are interacting with. I love going to different parties or what have you. I'm no longer in New York, so I can't go to the all-white linen party that they have in the village. But, where they listen to the nice jazz music and everything, artists, natural live jazz bands. But I have to say that in most cases when I've had the presence of good friends, you know, it's important that we are able to really be able to appreciate each other, regardless of what it is that separates us or makes us different, because it should not separate us. If anything, we should be coming from a place of trying to understand and know people better so that we can have a better understanding of really what's going on in our society and the world around us, okay? So thank you so much for joining us. This is Indigo Moon. Have a wonderful day.